All right, it should be live in just a second.
Okay.
Okay, greetings.
Hey,
What's up,
Deborah.
everyone? It's Deborah Watts, and I am joined by the, I don't know how to describe you. All the words I can think of are corny because I'm just so honored to be here with Joseph Aduwa. So, welcome.
Thank you so much, Deborah. It's a delight to be here with you. Yes, thank you.
I am honored. So let's dive right in. Just please briefly introduce yourself. Tell us where you work out of, what your work is, and what your mission is.
Okay, well, my name is, as Deborah stated, Joseph Aduwa, and what I do is something I call benevolent co-creations, and that's really centered around assisting and facilitating and guiding people, helping people to embrace their inner wisdom self. Some people may say the inner self, the spirit, the soul, the eternal self, but this deep core spiritual essence within themselves. And so it's really about soul empowerment. So that's literally the essence of the work that I do, is really to facilitate the soul empowerment of people in order to assist them to transmute and transform challenges that they may find themselves facing, but which they may not know as a personality how to deal with, because ultimately they only have a certain framework of perception or awareness based on past experiences as to how to approach a situation. So what I do is actually help people to embrace this part of themselves, open up to this part of themselves in order to help facilitate solutions and evolution forward as a result of the pathways and doorways that open up to them. So that's my passion, my preoccupation, and my obsession.
That's wonderful. Oh my goodness. And you're out of, I don't know if you said that earlier, where you were out of.
Yeah, I'm based in Bournemouth, which is the United Kingdom, the very far southwest of the country on the beach by the coast. It's beautiful, very serene, very sublime, lots of nature.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that's where I'm based.
so I've heard. I haven't gotten there yet, but I'm definitely going to make it a point to get over there.
Well, absolutely. When you're here, I'll show you around for sure.
That's awesome. So, yeah, as I was mentioning yesterday in my Facebook Live, you helped me a lot with some of the little distinctions that I needed in my own relationship. And I really, really appreciate that because there's very few people with whom I spoke and opened up to about what was going on in my relationship, um, because I felt like I was going to just shut it or to stop or to leave or whatever. So I was really appreciative of the help that you definitely helped me with walking through an exercise. And it really helped me to restore my faith and my vision and what I really want. And so I was hoping that you could share with the group today how they too, because a lot of people in the group feel like there's nothing that they can do either for their own situation or for each other. And so I was just curious if you could share with us something that each one of us can do to actually accelerate the transformation and the harmony for each and every other member of the group. So could you share that with us?
Absolutely. Well, I'll initially start with the individual because, of course, everybody has their own significant challenges, which is the center of their perception and center of their world, really. So it's important to start from that level. What I would say is one of the key things is to be gentle on oneself, because as much as we experience a lot of these discordant, traumatic experiences in terms of dynamics with other people, one of the things that allows for an opening, you could say, for a movement forward is to allow oneself to just be gentle on oneself, to nurture oneself, to do those things which they may not really spend time focusing on. But the fact of the matter is, acknowledging that they are precious, that they are unique, and that there is no one else on the planet who is an expression as they are on the planet. So it's beautiful in that diversity of which they are. So what I find is the process of being gentle allows the mind to become softened. So there aren't so many judgments based on oneself towards oneself, or projected outwards of oneself towards others. Because what happens is when we have these really hard frameworks of perception, it really does actually reinforce a dynamic which is ultimately not going to be desired. So by simply spending moments to nurture oneself in whatever way one is attracted to do so, you're honoring yourself. Okay, and that is the fundamental first step initial process for any transformation. It's an honoring of your authentic self, your authentic truth. Okay, because then you're saying that you are worthy, and therefore once you acknowledge that, then it opens up doorways which ultimately, as a conscious personality, egoic, you will not perceive.
Yes.
There are many other elements to it, but I'll get to the point. When it comes to a group dynamic such as what you have here, it's very, very important to recognize the fact that when you're in a group of people, that dynamic alone serves as a phenomenal catalyst if it is actively embraced and applied with that level of awareness and understanding. Okay, because if you can imagine, as an individual, you have a certain capacity, a certain energetic capacity to facilitate things, obviously within your own life and obviously in the lives of other people. But if you can imagine, you're like a battery, okay? And we could even go into terms of scientific, in terms of how they look at things, in terms of everything's ultimately a form of energetic expression, electromagnetic scalar. But the core element of the reality is that whether we acknowledge it or not, we are not primarily physical. We are primarily non-physical. We exist within a sea of energy, okay? This energy has a sentience, an awareness, a consciousness, some people would say. So we are innately imbued, immersed within this ocean. Now, as one individual, as I said before, you have a certain battery of power available to you.
Yeah.
Now, when you're in a situation, in a relationship dynamic, it can often be very, very challenging to elevate one's awareness, one's perception, one's mindset, one's viewpoint when you're immersed within the center of that box, within the center of that field of life, reality. So, of course, it goes without saying that as an individual, you can absolutely facilitate transformation because ultimately we are truly innately empowered. However, that element of empowerment can significantly be amplified, accelerated in ways which would appear to be miraculous if you went up to apply and experience it for yourself when you are embracing a group dynamic. Because ultimately, if you can imagine, let's just say, as a human being, you're like a magnet. So if you can imagine you're participating in a group that is an aggregate of bodies, which is on orders of magnitude more than your individual body. Okay, so now if you can imagine we have magnets. Okay, one magnet of a lesser power, the other magnets of a greater power. What happens if you put them in the vicinity of one another? Well, ultimately, the one that has the greater magnetic attractive force will pull the smaller one towards it. Yes. And it's the same principle with humans when we come together collectively and come together with a specific intent. Because ultimately, what happens is when you are with that group, it helps you to rapidly elevate outside of your limited perceptual awareness or discordant traumatic situations that you find yourself in. Because when you have a certain intent within that group, and it is governed by an intent, which is very important, it literally will serve to pull you, elevate you, so that you can more rapidly, more harmoniously, more efficiently, effectively, and ultimately, some would say more joyously, experience the transformation that you desire. Yes. Now, there is a caveat to this because, like anything, we live in a universal, we live in a universal polarity. Everything is, light, dark, male, female. It literally is a duality, a polarization of expression. Therefore, it goes without saying that with group dynamics, it's very important what the intent and the embraced intent of the individuals within that group are. So, for example, if that group is one which is generally disempowering in its expressions, whether they be thought, word, writing, however the communication is expressed, that will serve to bring the individual, pull the individual down to that congruent, to that aggregate of perceptual awareness. Okay, so it can make it difficult for one individual, if they are spending a lot of time focusing on themselves, to keep themselves elevated if the group is not operating with that core intent.
Yes.
However, where it makes a difference to facilitate transformation is when the group has a collective intent which is designed towards empowering the individual and the collective. Because now what happens is this: the individual, embraced by the group with that deliberate, focused, heart-centered, love-centered intent, will literally be able to be drawn upwards. It's almost like they get to see the horizon, where once before they were stuck with the head in the trenches. You see, they get to be elevated in their perceptual awareness.
Yes.
And ultimately, this happens in different ways. Ultimately, you could say mindset, core beliefs, but it's paradigms that we're really talking about,
yes,
which are literally the reality fields that we experience of life.
Yes.
In terms of our circumstances, situations, things of this nature. So what I would say is it's absolutely essential and absolutely critically important to embrace a practical, applied awareness of that reality when you're in a group. So in other words, it's all about the doing, the applying, because it's in the actual embracing through the applied processes that you would be doing that you get to see the feedback from life, from the universe. In other words, the experiences which will be opened up to you, which will facilitate your accelerated transformation forward in whatever way that is that you have that to be in your perception. So it's obviously down to your individual purpose, your individual vision, your greater expression of what you truly desire within a dynamic, within a relationship dynamic. But again, within the group, it's almost like you're able to stand on the shoulders of giants when you're operating in a group.
Yes.
It makes the horizon so much clearer and so much easier.
Yes.
So you can see the pathway.
I think I lost you for a second, Joseph. Are we stuck?